Well, right now we have Chris Habig of Freedom Health Works with us. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing very well, Gabby. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And so to start us off, please just tell us a little bit of a summary of your journey to what led you to creating Freedom Health Works.
It uh, it's a very personal story, as they all
Okay.
are, really,
Mhm.
and kind of out of the ashes of a lot of disappointment and
Mhm.
disillusionment, really. So, I had the blessing to be both my parents are physicians, and so I was going to kind of pick up that, and because I got to see what a cool impact the doctors make in any given community and in the society,
Mhm.
and here are really caring people who, it's a very good career. You can make a great living from it, but none of that matters because physicians only want to care for people.
Mhm.
And I got to grow up in basically a doctor's office, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to college. I'm going to go to medical school. This is what I want to do.
Right.
And I graduated college in 2009 and was going through shadowing and studying for the MCAT.
Mhm.
And there wasn't a single physician, including people in my family, who said medical school is a good idea at this point in time. And
Mhm.
every single one of those doctors said, don't go to medical school, Chris. I wouldn't go back and be a doctor if I could.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, holy cow, what is going on here where
Mhm.
some of the most important members in our society and our community are completely disillusioned with their career and
Mhm.
really their calling.
Mhm.
um, and so kind of looked at that. I'm like, you know what, I always want to do something in medicine. And so you fast forward a little bit, and what we found out is that a lot of the biggest problems that cause issues for patients and for physicians today in the United States is the involvement of health insurance and a lot of just
Mhm.
regulations that you can't be a doctor anymore, and all you are is basically a
Right.
factory worker out there trying to see as many people a day, and the quality of care just disintegrates
Of course.
when
Mhm.
that happens. And so we stumbled on kind of a cool little model here that it's all cash. You
Mhm.
join a physician's practice for a low membership fee each month,
Wow.
and you have a zero barriers to care. And that's
Mm.
what's really cool about it. It's called direct care. And so within Freedom Healthworks, to kind of summarize it, we really help physicians start these types of practices, and we help
Mhm.
connect patients to these physicians so they can get all the care that they really need, don't have to worry about any of the roadblocks or barriers to ever
Mhm.
accessing their physician or being able to afford their care.
Wow. And so does the name freedom kind of go into that? Like, why did you pick that word? I mean, I can kind of guess, but if you want to speak on that for a sec.
Yeah, we knew that each doctor and everybody kind of has their own idea of how they want to practice, and that's what makes our medical system really cool. Is that we have so many different smart people that think, have different theories about how to practice medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and they all emphasize that medicine is always a practice. It's never an exact science, and
Right.
we see that in the midst of a pandemic right now. Everybody's a little bit different, and to be able to work with a physician so that they can build their dream practice and they're able to take care of their patients the way that they want to and the way that they know how to,
Mm-hmm.
that's really where we're like, yeah, all right, there's only one word that we can name this company that really
Right.
describes that and really encompasses those values.
And so going from kind of like you said, the world of medicine and being a physician, how has it been then when you were incorporating now kind of the business side of everything when it came to creating this company?
It's really cool because I look back on it, and I'm thankful things turned out the way they did. And there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of times where I second guessed myself, saying, am I doing the right thing here by not going to medical school and not becoming a doctor? But we come out on the other end of it, and we're able to impact so many more people and so many more lives doing this and helping kind of pollinate this new way of thinking about medical care, that it's vastly rewarding. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. And you get to talk to our clients who are the physicians, and they're like, wow, couldn't have done this without you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hear some of their stories from their patients, saving emergency room visits or saving
Mm-hmm.
people from unnecessary surgeries because now they have a physician who's on speed dial able to help them out and answer those questions. And it's just absolutely amazing. And our clients are even bartering for services, saying, if we work in a rural community, they accept like a couple dozen eggs each month in order to provide care for somebody. And so we're really getting back to that kind of Marcus Welby, kind of the Norman Rockwell.
Right. The
um,
foundation. Right.
Yeah, what we think of kind of that romantic view of physicians and
Yeah.
taking care of little kids and making house calls, that's now a reality. People are able
Hmm.
to form those relationships again and really get the care that they need.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And so how does this kind of help as far as like mentally for these physicians? It's like fighting, that frustration, that burnout that you kind of spoke about. How has that helped them in that regard with this new system?
Yeah, suicide rates amongst physicians are now the number one. It's the number one career with
Wow.
as far as suicide rates go,
I did not know that.
which is really really sad.
Hmm.
It's happening in medical school,
Hmm.
so young medical students are taking their lives. It's growing within the residency programs,
Hmm.
um, and that's really sad. And that's kind of scary from a patient standpoint or somebody
Yeah.
that as you have a family and you get older, you're going to need our best and brightest sitting there and taking care of their
Hmm.
fellow human beings. And to see the pressures that are put on them from hospitals and from different types of what we call like the healthcare system, um, it's really scary. And so they go from seeing 30 to 40 patients a day and spending 5 to 7 minutes with them in a typical hospital setting.
Hmm.
Now, when they open up their own direct care practice, they see maybe 6 to 10 patients a day, and
Wow.
they're able to spend 45 to an hour with them, 45 minutes
Mhm.
to an hour with them. They do virtual care. And so they bring that very important work life balance. It becomes a reality for them where they're not taking 2, 3 hours worth of work home at 8 p.m. and not having any time for their
Right.
family or for their personal life. Um, we turn to doctors for all of our issues, and I know mental health issues are big time as far as primary care goes.
Hmm.
But we never stop to think how our physicians are and how they're coping with the stresses in
Right.
their life. They're supposed to be superheroes, and they're people. you
Right.
know
Going through struggles and happy times, just the rest of us.
exactly. And so if we can lessen that load and free them up to really take care of their people, the benefits just abound. They really do.
And so I can imagine too, it's sort of like a win-win situation as well. Because like you said, the patients can feel when their physicians are stressed and when they're actually, taking time with them, building that relationship. So really it just works out for both the patients and the physicians to have the physicians in a good mental and physical space.
It really does. And you hit the nail on the head with that one. And
Hmm.
we look at it as this is the only care model that does not discriminate against patients whatsoever.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is that a lot of insurance based plans, or even if a Medicaid or a Medicare, you're very limited in who you can go see and what
Right.
kind of services they're able to provide.
Hmm.
And that has serious impacts on communities. It's considered Medicare fraud to charge a patient less than what Medicare reimburses them.
Mm.
And so you have well intentioned government programs getting in the way of care for some of our most vulnerable in society.
Right.
And physicians aren't able to go up to somebody and say, I'm going to take care of you for free or pro bono if that person is in any type of government program. And
Mm.
so you're looking at this as like, this is totally backwards.
Yeah.
And so when a physician stops doing business with kind of those insurance and kind of government entities, they are totally free to price accordingly to the local markets,
Hmm.
whether that is $5 a month or whether that is $125 a month. And they're really able to, again, take care of the most vulnerable people in their society with no barriers to care whatsoever.
And so now you become a prime example, like you said, that things can shift and that we can kind of go back to the roots of why this sort of industry was created in the first place. What do you think it would take for more of a cultural shift just overall across this industry to kind of have more of a system that you've created?
A lot of education,
Mm.
a lot of stuff out there is kind of what you call headline medicine. And again, coronavirus is
Mm.
is just kind of wreaking havoc in our society right now, and people don't know where to turn. They don't know who to ask to get real answers.
Hmm.
I think I saw something today that trust in the American media is at an all-time low. Nobody knows what the federal government is
Right.
doing, and that just that stresses people out on a local level.
Hmm.
And to be able to ask your physician what's going on is going to be very, very valuable. Um, I mentioned the education part of it because that's huge. Because a lot of people think right now that healthcare in the United States and market forces and that kind of stuff, and transparency doesn't work whatsoever.
Hmm.
But it's the only industry where people walk in to buy a service and they don't know how much it's going to cost. And as an American consumer, we kind of pride ourselves on having as much information and
Right.
doing a lot of research and looking at Yelp ratings and Googling things and asking people, so that we are well versed customers when we walk in there. And for
Yeah.
some reason, we don't do that whenever we're sick or we need to talk to medical experts. And I have no idea why that is.
Right.
We just kind of throw an insurance card and say, hey, what's this get me? And we're not even thinking that there's a completely alternate way to buy really great medical care.
Right.
Same as we would, buying any other type of service.
We've sort of accepted the norm that's been given to us for so long now.
Yeah, and Gabby, we didn't challenge it, right?
Hmm.
We didn't ask those
Right.
questions of why is this happening? What is
Hmm.
going on here? And I don't have the answer for that. I really don't. Probably be somebody out there who's a lot smarter than me that can explain why that is and
Hmm.
how we just accept this really complex system that doesn't work for anybody.
Hmm.
And it's leading to a lot of bankruptcies. It's leading to physician suicides. It's leading to sick people not wanting to go get care because they're fearful of what the financial impact is going to be.
Hmm.
And then, conditions turn into something else, and that just weighs down everything. Not to mention, personal stressors and all that kind of stuff that we talked about before.
Right.
So it's an interesting phenomenon, and I don't know why it is, but I know that we're doing our best to kind of combat that. And again, show people that, hey, there's a way to purchase medical care where you don't have to mess with all that song and dance that you're upset about. And you can
Right.
know the prices. You can get immediate answers, same day, next day visits. You can text message your doctor, all that kind of stuff, and form a real human relationship with it. And that's kind of what we look at. We're putting we're rehumanizing medical care at a time when it's needed most.
Right. So it's not like your now can be just an example, even if it's just a small example of things can be different. It doesn't have to just be the norm that's been spoon fed to us for the longest, like you said, that we didn't even challenge.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's what's fun, and it's hard. We are definitely swimming against the current for sure, but we get a lot of cool business owners that call us up and says, "Hey, can I do this model? Can I work with your physicians to provide an actual benefit to my employees that they
Hmm.
actually use and understand?" And we're like, "Yeah, you don't have to mess with copays and deductibles and
Right.
maximum out of
Hmm.
pocket and limited networks and really expensive health insurance plans. Let's take health insurance, have it function like a homeowner's type insurance where we use it when really bad things happen.
Hmm.
And, when really bad health things happen, it's tough. It's hard,
Right.
but nobody should lose their home or lose their savings because, we have those instruments there that are insurance. It's a financial tool. Um, Typical day-to-day maintenance as far as physicals, or if we, here's a fun story that my wife was cooking dinner and we're in there and
Hmm.
she's using a mandolin, right? Which
Hmm.
everybody I tell this story to, they just kind of grimace. They're like, ooh. I think everybody's cut themselves using a mandolin in the kitchen at some point in time.
Right.
And sure enough, she misses it and takes about a nickel-sized chunk out of the palm of her hand right by her thumb. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks really bad. And she's like, what do I do? Do we need to go to the emergency room? And I'm thinking, maybe, but I go, take a picture of it and send it to your doctor. And so
Mm.
she pays $100 a month to have, a direct care physician on speed dial, essentially.
Hmm.
And the doctor gets back 2 minutes later and we're, holding pressure on it. She goes, ooh, that looks like it hurts. Unfortunately, there's nothing there to stitch up because it was just a chunk out, right? It
Okay.
wasn't a slice. And she goes, just hold it under cold water and then get some ice on it, keep pressure on it, and then put a bandage on it, tight wrapped, put some Neosporin on it. It
It's
will
like it's
heal
all
up. It'll just take a
okay.
while and be sore. And so just that little example right there
Mhm.
probably saved us a $3,000 trip to the emergency room
Right.
because
And time and
we were kind of
everything.
panicking.
Hmm.
You're like, what do I do? And then to have that type of medical advice right there when you need it, I mean, insanely valuable just from a peace of mind and from a wallet standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm sure there's going to be tons of listeners who want more information. Where are the best places to go for information about Freedom Health Works or even just about yourself?
Yeah, freedomhealthworks.com is the easiest way. We do a podcast as well where we tell us all kinds of cool stories, and
Mhm.
we try to show people again that there's real people doing this and it's making a
Mhm.
real impact. But a lot of people call it direct primary care, is kind of the industry term that's growing from a grassroots movement. But yeah, check us out online, freedomhealthworks.com, and welcome to the direct care movement, as we call
Yes.
it. So we could everybody's able to jump on the bandwagon. There's plenty of room to really to build this and show that, hey, people want medical care with no barriers, and it's out there. It's actually very, very easy to get.
And if there's a bandwagon to jump on, this one is it.
I like to hear that.
Wonderful. Chris Habig, thank you so much for your time and joining us today.
Gabby, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.